Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this January 17th, 2023 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Aaron Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Aaron.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you are here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill in the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to virtually raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually, the chat feature on this Zoom meeting is only available as technical support for users on their computer or smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and I will help you troubleshoot. If you're a staff member experiencing issues, please contact the IT help desk for assistance. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table here, and it is also posted on our website. And there is a link available in the chat if you're joining us virtually.
Thank you, Aaron. I now call this January 17th, 2023 regular meeting to order and ask you to join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And it occurs to me that I didn't call the roll, did I, Aaron?
No, not yet.
All right. If Aaron would please call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller,
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green,
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt McDonald, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The agenda is approved as presented. We have one set of minutes today to approve. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2023 as presented, pages 3 through 8 of our packet.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the board meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2023.
Thank you.
I support.
Very good. Any corrections, additions, deletions? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Aaron will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments to the board. If you would, please.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants or Reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time, and I will announce your username or last four digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. For in-person attendees, we will start with those of you who have signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you are still welcome to make a comment, and I'll notify you when it is your turn.
Thank you, Aaron. Has anyone signed in or are there any hands raised at this time?
There are no virtual hands raised, and there is no in-person
All right.
public comment.
Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is written communications. They appear on pages 9 and 10 of our packet. Commissioners, anything you wish to draw our attention to or comment about? All right, seeing nothing being brought to our attention, we will move on. We'll bypass item number 5 since there was no public comment. Next item on our agenda is new business. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 5, appearing on pages 11 through 29 of our board packet.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved as presented. We have one action item to deal with today. May I have a motion to approve action item number 1, to approve the right-of-way acquisition in Scioto Township. The motion itself appears on page 14 of the packet. There is background on pages 26 through 29.
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby approves the acquisition of 650 square foot public road easement and a 325 square foot temporary grading permit, more particularly described in attachment A, from the property owners Walid Demo and Mary Demo, located upon a parcel of property commonly known as 2830 North Parker Road, Scioto Township, Michigan, with a corresponding tax identification number of H0806300028 in the amount of $2,075 and 0 pennies.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, the action item is approved as presented in the board packet. Next item on our agenda is reports. I don't believe we have either of our county commission liaisons with us today. Just let me note, please, that the board has identified County Commissioner Caroline Sanders from District 4 and County Commissioner Crystal Light from District 2 as the liaisons from the Board of Commissioners to the Road Commission Board. We will move on to the report of the Road Commission, starting with Commissioner Yamas.
On 1/7, I viewed the January 3rd WCRC board meeting that was held on January 4th of 2023. And I didn't write the date. I read the legislative updates from the CR or from,
Ed Noyola.
yep. Could you say his name again?
Ed Noyola.
Ed Niola. I always mess up his name. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner McCollum.
Yes. On January 4th, I attended the swearing in of the county commissioners. On January 10th, I attended the county road webinar on infrastructure, investment, and Jobs Act grant programs. On January 11th and 12th, I attended a community stakeholders input session for proposed Eastside YMCA. On January 16th, I attended the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Justice Matters March at Second Baptist Church in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And I also signed up for the United Way 21-day equity challenge for 2023. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will report, Commissioner Green, I'm sorry.
I have no report.
Oh, all right, well, that was quick. My report on January 4th, I was the road commissioner for the chat session. We had no visitors. On January 10th, I attended the webinar explaining the new electronic document signing software, OneSpan, that is replacing DocuSign, which we use to sign documents electronically. On January 11th, I attended the opening day of Michigan's 102nd legislature. On January 12th, I attended the County Road Association legislative, noted that the legislative update indicated House Bill 4012 has been introduced to create an alternative method for establishing speed limits. That was introduced last session. It's been reintroduced this one. And on January 16th, I too attended the Ypsilanti Ann Arbor Ministerial Alliance annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration at the Second Baptist Church of Ypsilanti. And then this morning, I'm hopeful that we will receive copies of or a link to the County Road Association's press conference. They were having a press conference as part of a coalition of transportation stakeholders regarding the impact of electric vehicle adoption on road funding in Michigan. They were going to release that this morning. Yeah, apparently it was shared last fall at the October Commissioners Seminar. I confess I did not attend that seminar. That is the conclusion of my report. We will move on to the Managing Director's report, staff reports, and Washtenaw County Road Commission updates. They appear on page 30 through 38 of our board packet. Cheryl.
Right, thank you, Commissioner Fuller. I will start by asking if you have any questions about any of the reports or information that was provided from staff in the board packet. All right. Well, I have to say that the last week or so has been spent preparing for and then meeting and bringing Tiffany Oliphant onto our organization as our new communications manager. It's been a lot of fun. Thursday and Friday of last week, sharing a little bit about who we are and beginning to take her around the organization. So that's been a lot of fun, and we look forward to getting to know her better and her getting to know us better. So I think we're off to a good start there. We have also been working with our consultant Hobbs and Black and have made submittal to Scioto Township, hoping for Board of Trustee approval on our salt storage facility. I'm not sure what we're calling it these days. It's the appropriate terminology. We will confirm whether or not we made the January 24th township agenda. Ideally, that is when we're hoping to receive approval. If we did not make that agenda, then we hopefully will be 2 weeks after that at their next meeting or the first meeting in February. But I will confirm once I know for sure whether or not we're on the January 24th meeting agenda. On January 26th, we have our first virtual public meeting of the year of 2023, and that is for the project at North Territorial and Webster Church. So we hope that you will be able to join us. I believe that is at noon on the 26th of January. And then on the 30th of January, CRA has their Southeast Council meeting that this year is, this quarter is at Lenawee County Road Commission, and that is in Adrian. So if you are interested in attending, please let Erin know and we'll have you registered for lunch. And that's a nice opportunity to get to exchange information with our peers. So again, if you're interested in attending that meeting, please let Erin know. And that's it for me, unless you have any questions. All right.
Cheryl, I do have a question. Is it valuable for any of us to attend SCIO's board meeting when the request for approval of the salt thing
Salt thing
is considered? I'll get my thesaurus out later.
I don't believe that is
Okay.
necessary. I mean, obviously, you're always welcome to attend any meetings and we appreciate your support, but I do think that staff has that one handled. Between myself and Adam, I think that we can cover that one.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't see anything.
All right. Let's see. Today, first up, we have Matt McDonnell, our Director of Engineering.
Hello again, Commissioners. Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Thank you for your time this morning to talk about bridges. Always a fun subject, and I really appreciated the time and you guys getting to know our bridge engineer a little better as well. Nate Murphy, he's a wonderful addition to our staff. He's been out with us for a number of years now, but just really appreciate all that he brings to our organization. In the board packet, you do have reports, our year-end report for permits on page 34, and 36 is our traffic and safety for our signal and sign crews. Obviously a robust year, lots to do and lots going on in all those areas. Happy to take any questions if you had any on those staff reports. Permits in general was very much in the realm of utilities. That will continue as I expect. Utilities, as you know, particularly fiber optic endeavors that are going to embark in our county. I expect that those will start getting permitted next year. I've already had kind of pre-application meeting with some folks.
Oh, good.
So that's in the works, but our permits staff is very well versed and ready for anything that comes their way. But ultimately a lot of what we do is utility driven and also development driven. So that too, it continues as well. And got a number of traffic studies in the works. So that area will continue to in Washtenaw County continues to be a very desirable place to live and work. So also I want to make you aware, we talked a little bit about culvert project Parker Road. In fact, this board meeting action item was easement and temporary grading permit related to that project. Nate Murphy is our project manager for that one. We are going to advertise that here later this month with bids due in February, along with the other project Nate Murphy is working on, the Bemis Road and Whitaker Road, a roundabout project. We'll be bidding both of those locally through Bid Express because it's local. Both are locally funded with our MTF money. So there are no state and federal funds in those projects, and therefore they are not being bid through the MDOT system. We're doing it through Bid Express in our procurement here at the brokerage. So just want to make you aware of that. We'll get bids in February. So I imagine the last meeting in February, I'll be able to report back those bid results. Both are in the budget for 2023. So hopefully they'll stay within budget. With that, I didn't have anything else to add. If you have any questions, be happy to answer. Not, bring up the next one.
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Matt. Next up, we have Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Dan
Is Scott
Ackerman,
done?
Director. Pardon?
Is the audit done yet, Dan?
Yeah, I wish. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT, and I apologize for not being at the working session this morning. With Cheryl's blessing, I was able to take care of a couple of critical things that needed addressing, and much appreciated. So, but it's nice to see everybody. So the first thing I want to talk about is attempted fraud on the road commission's accounts payable checks. Any check that leaves this agency, we submit to KeyBank. So I get a file and I upload that into KeyBank's system. It's called Payee Positive Pay. It has the check number, the check date, the amount, and who the check is made payable to. Every day I receive emails from KeyBank saying, basically there's no exceptions, everything's fine, everything matches. So when people cash checks, it comes back to KeyBank, it gets compared to this file I submit. So usually it's fine, it's clean, no problem. On occasion, for some reason, Chelsea State Bank, I don't know if they do remote deposit or how they deposit their checks. I guess it's a fairly long name, but sometimes it'll say the name doesn't agree with what we submitted. But then I follow my processes to make sure the check number and everything matches. And then I go in and I actually have to tell the bank, go ahead and pay this. If I miss it, then Chelsea State Bank gets mad at us because the check doesn't go through. And I could try to correct that, but I kind of like the fact that on occasion, is this process working? And, I get some notifications instead of it's clean, it's clean, it's clean. So on January 5th, I received an exception file and there were 2 checks. And the dollar amount seemed a little different to me. First of all, the fact that there were 2 checks in this exception report, that was one red flag to me. So I immediately went to KeyBank's website and I can get an image of the check. And I also compared, because the check numbers matched and the dates matched, so that was good. But the dollar amounts are different. Of course, the payee was different. So I pulled up the first check and it was a person in Brooklyn, New York. So that's a further flag. So at this point, I'm pretty certain that fraud was attempted. So I got Jamie Kraus, who handles our accounts payable, to make sure I'm not overreacting. We both kind of sat down and went through everything, and yep, it sure does look like fraud. If they were smart, they would have kept the dollar amounts the same. Now we still would have caught it because it would have been a different vendor name than we submitted, because you can do positive pay or payee positive pay, and payee positive pay takes it all the way to who the check is made out payable to. So I wish, no, I never wish fraud is attempted on the road commission, but if they could have picked a less busier time, that would have been nice with year end and getting ready for the audit, but we can't control that. So protocols, I have to follow protocols. The last time this was attempted was probably half a dozen years ago or more. I was out, I think in Vermont, and received something on my phone, and sure enough, and had to deal with it. So, fortunately it doesn't happen too often, but when it does, I take it very, very seriously, of course. So I had to reach out to the county treasurer's office and KeyBank out of Cleveland, that's their national headquarters. Let our auditors know. The county treasurer's office, they fill a police report out for us. We want to make sure we get a police report going, get county sheriffs involved. And obviously then, so the default for checks when there's an exception like that is to return it. Don't cash it, don't cash it. Like I said, I have to actually go in and say pay it, and you want it that way. If I was monitoring this every day or whatever happened, something was missed, and even if it wasn't fraud, we'd have to deal with the vendor not getting paid if it was legitimate. But you want the flag to be returned, so they can't get their money. So we got the wheels in motion. We have a case number with the sheriff's department. Business as usual. We went several days. There were no exceptions on my daily reports from KeyBank. Then I received another hit. So that was last Monday. This time they were even less smart because the check number didn't match and the dollar amount didn't match and the vendor, of course. So they had 3 things that didn't match. Obviously, we caught it immediately, followed the same protocols. So, I feel good and bad about it. I feel good that the checks and balances we have in place are working. Can I stand up here and say that no one will ever commit fraud on the road commission? I can't. But can I tell you we'll do everything we can to minimize that opportunity? Yes, we will. So certainly the auditors were glad to see that our fraud protections in place caught this. I fully expect to see the report from the sheriff's department. If I don't, I will ask if I can at least have a conversation with them. And what else can be done? Cheryl and I have been talking a little bit. What other fraud protections can we put in place? As far as checks, I don't feel like there's much more we can do. But I think all of you have participated in this. Like all of our employees, we are no longer paying with checks. That was actually before this attempted fraud, but it was a good thing. So basically, if we can eliminate the checks out of this agency, that will take care of people trying to commit fraud that way. So currently we're about 50-50 as far as paying vendors electronically and with a check. Will we get to 100%? I doubt it. But if we get to 90% paying vendors electronically, I think that's a good goal to have. And just as a reminder, I think we're one of the first road commissions, at least, that started paying vendors electronically, which is great. And hopefully, more are moving in that direction because, unfortunately, there's people out there that are, trying to do these things. I know a lot of our bid documents are requiring that. And so I definitely thank operations and engineering for putting that into bid documents requiring electronic payments. So wherever we can, we're trying to, we're encouraging our vendors. We have copies of our forms to sign up to, for electronic payments. And from a vendor standpoint, they're getting it quicker, it's safer. So you think they would be all, for it. But, on occasion, we will have checks to citizens that maybe don't feel comfortable providing the information. I know Kurt sometimes needs a physical check sometimes for closings. Some of the utility companies we deal with say, oh, we don't accept that type of payment. But we're working on it. I know. We're working on it. The state of Michigan was like, we don't accept it and so on, but we ended up talking to the right person and got them to allow us to pay them electronically.
Wait, the state of Michigan said they don't
Yeah,
allow?
right. And there's various departments, but this is one where we pay our local progress billings for our share of the construction projects. They were adamant that they don't participate in electronic payments, but again, sometimes you need to talk to the right person. And for the most part, staff was good about us paying them electronically through accounts payable. We do direct deposit through payroll. So they said, well, we already have that information. We said, we know, but as a good fraud protection, we need a separate form because this is accounts payable. So it's a little different. And they may want it to go to a different bank account. And we make sure we have that sheet of paper too. We don't do things on, via email or somebody calls and says, hey, it's Adam Lape and can you change my banking information? No. There's a reason why we use the form. But I think if anything, what happened here further demonstrates the move to pay vendors electronically, including our employees. So I realized that was kind of a lot, but definitely something important and definitely something the board needs to know about, and just wanted to kind of give you what happened, what we do to prevent it, what further steps can we take. There's just kind of a lot there. So any questions on that particular item? Yes.
Commissioner
I just wanna
McCollum.
say, thank you for being spot on and catching it, because this is the taxpayers' money. We don't
Exactly.
want them getting cheated.
Yes.
Thank you for your diligence and changing over to as much as you can to the non-check, account.
Commissioner Yamas. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you?
No.
Commissioner
I want to
Yamas.
thank you too, because the Protect Pay,
Pay positive pay.
Pay
Yep.
Positive Pay is fairly new, right?
We've been on it for a little while, but I think we were kind of early implementers. And, I would like to give some kudos to the county treasurer's office. They kind of helped encourage us to go full blown pay positive pay. Like I said, some are doing just positive pay that don't include the vendor names. But if everything else is the same and that just the vendor name's different, that could possibly miss that. So they said, why don't we go all out with this? So really, the county treasurer, we took a lot of guidance from them on that as well.
So I know Positive Pay, but we're doing, say it again.
Payee positive pay, and the payee is the vendor part.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Great job.
Question, does the county treasurer's office and or the sheriff's office then aggregate these kinds of attempts so that there can be trends or other things identified?
So they'll assign a detective to this case. That's why it's important to get a police report.
Mhm.
And then if there's some commonality, I'm sure they'll follow those leads. If you recall, like I said, about half a dozen years ago, when we had the fraud attempt, they were able to trace it to some local banks branches here And then there's one, I think in Lenawee or Livingston County, they actually caught the person that was doing it. They had a picture of the person trying to cash the checks. So yeah, that's they definitely look for that. And the combined checks was over $20,000. It was over $20,000, which I believe over 10,000 is a felony. You know, so that's potentially a lot of money that they could have gotten away with. So if I don't receive the police report, I'll ask to speak with the detective that's assigned to the case. And last time there was a lot of nice back and forth with the detective. I'm kind of curious, again, is it a pattern? Are other agencies experiencing the same thing? Did they catch the person? You know, I'd like to know that hopefully justice will be served.
Sure, sure. Very interesting, very interesting.
Yes.
One
But
question.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Green.
Yes.
And so is that information then turned over to the prosecutor for further action, or do you know?
Absolutely. Yep. Again, the case half a dozen years ago or so, you know, there was a trial and I believe the person was convicted. So
And what, it's new, where in New York was this?
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn, New
all
York.
three
That's where,
checks. All three checks were in Brooklyn, New York. All three were to different people, which we're not even sure are real people or not, because the endorsements, because I can see and I can show you if you'd like. The endorsements look similar, but they're different. It's for different people. So I
did a job.
you know, in some ways you know, what causes a person to get to this point that they have to do something like that. So I do try to empathize a little bit, and you know, this is the easy way though, right? Or would have been, but again, we have good protections in place. So any other questions
Good
on
work.
that? And Commissioner McCollum, I appreciate what you said, and I also take the fact that it's the public's money.
Mhm.
I take that very seriously, and, you know, want to do all we can to protect that. You almost treat it like it's my own. So
Thank you.
any other questions on that at all? So that certainly added some unnecessary excitement to the finance department. You know, we're still busy with all of our year-end preparations. I know the auditor reached out to you, Barb. You probably haven't seen your email yet. It was fairly recent.
Okay,
They wanted to have a pre-audit discussion with the
Right.
chair of the board of the road commission. So hopefully you can meet with him. If not, you know, at your convenience, of course.
yeah, I think it was a phone call in the past,
Yeah, yep.
but maybe
Right.
that's.
Yeah, I think
because
it's a
of
phone call.
COVID.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
So lots of preparation for our annual audit that will start on January 30th. And still working on year end. We had a bunch of 2022 invoices that we processed. Hopefully we're close to the finish line since the audit's going to be starting in a few weeks. We're working on all of our tax forms for 2022. We'll hopefully be getting our W-2s out to the workforce this week. Because I know a lot of times our first day back in the new year, we'll get inquiries. So do you have your W-2s done yet? So technically we have until the 31st of January to distribute that. But we try and get that to employees as soon as we can, because some are anxious to do their taxes right away. So, yeah. And then just a few things on IT. Tomorrow we have a big update for our financial software. So Chris has been doing a great job with preparations to hopefully have it go as smoothly as possible. It definitely touches a lot of things. And that's gonna be tomorrow from 11 to 1. So looking forward to that. Last week we met with Dean, Chris, Josh and I met with Dean, who is our managed service provider, Applied Imaging. And we just had a touch base again, just to see, you know, what concerns they have, what questions we have for them. Just a good opportunity to sit down and make sure everybody's on the same page. And if there's any new technologies that we can take advantage of, or again, any concerns, or, you know, talking about cybersecurity, all that good stuff. So it was a great discussion. And, you know, I always learn a lot just from, you know, listening to Dean and Chris kind of go back and forth about things. Also the last board meeting, because the last board meeting I was not at, but the one before that in December, I mentioned our site visit on January 10th to our vendor for all of our audiovisual in 106, room 106. That was postponed. The vendor wants to get a few things right. And, you know, we've stated that when we come for the site visit, we want everything functioning properly. So they delayed that. We're not sure when the new date will be, but, you know, we'll give them some time to make sure everything is working and, you know, doesn't waste our time.
And we have alternative locations within
Yes,
the
we do.
building anyway, so it isn't like things
Absolutely.
grind to a halt, right?
Yes. Yep. And that's my report unless there's any other questions.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
And next up, we have Adam Leip, our Director of Operations.
Oh, there you go. What a difference 2 hours makes.
Yeah, I know, you'll have back to where I belong.
How do you feel about that, Matt? You okay?
Good afternoon, Adam Lake, Director of Operations. Quick update today, operations staff and equipment's prepared for the next winter weather event, but may not be in the future, but maybe next week might get a little bit of activity with that. So in the meantime, we're taking advantage of this mild weather and continuing local routine maintenance, mainly drainage improvements and forestry on local roads and some of the primary system as well. Squeaking every bit we can get out of the season and hopefully transition that right into this year and start in the spring, keep moving forward. I want to thank you for the continued support for our facilities team. Some of the board packet today, some of the consent agenda items are good for employee staff safety and improving our building efficiencies. So I want to thank you guys for that. It's going to be a big facility year this year. So we appreciate that. And I guess we'll call it the salt material storage building or something like that. So we can work on that as a group.
We could have a contest.
Yeah, there we go. We can name that.
Oh, no.
And then also thank you for the approved equipment purchases.
Yeah.
The two graders that we had in the packet today, one will be used in the northwest corner of the county, so the Chelsea area, so for District 3, and then the southeast portion of the county for our District 5 crew. So Augusta, York, Saline, those townships, and they help a lot in Pittsfield and Ypsilanti Township well with that grader as well. So
So it's January of 2023. What does the pool say in terms of?
boy, that's
when
probably
we'll
the hardest
take
question
delivery?
today. You know, we're still thinking your lead time on these.
Yeah.
So the two graders we're using are getting us by. We've had to piece a third grader together to keep it kind of moving, but if we have enough, we have 11, so we can move those around throughout the county if we have to kind of keep a primary grader in each location working. So we'll be all right. We'll make it work. Just a little bit of teaching us patience, I guess, with that, and maybe making us a little frustrated in the meantime.
Yeah.
We'll get through it. The lead times could speed up, but we'll see. As of right now, we're just estimating a year just safely.
Okay.
And then also the 5 pickup trucks, light fleet that were on the agenda today. Those will be used in the engineering department for continued inspection of the projects we have every summer. So very much appreciated keeping us going. A lot of us have to move around here, so we really appreciate the support. It's not just operations, it's moving everybody in some type of vehicle. So thank you. Other than that, if there aren't any questions, that's it.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yeah, I was just wondering, truck number 144 had the engine replaced by dealer. Was that a relatively new truck or?
Brand new. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, a little bit of gremlins they were working through from General Motors. Yeah. It's been problematic since the day we turned the key the first time. So General Motors is standing behind it. They put a new motor in it. They found 2 other issues with same motors throughout the United States. We were number 3. So they replaced that motor, and now we're working through glitches because when you take all that off, all the electronics today on a diesel motor, you know, problematic getting it all back together again. So it's back. It's been working so far. We're going forward, but it's got some gremlins in it here and there. But we do appreciate General Motors standing up for it and behind their product, but it's been a lot of waiting. Thankfully, we have other pieces of equipment we can utilize at the time. It keeps us moving. So that was a diesel pickup truck, which you don't typically buy. The reason for that is Chelsea and Manchester, so our District 3 and 4 garages only have diesel fuel in their storage tanks. That was intentional to get us to that point. So limiting, you know, chemicals basically that we have, gasoline. So limiting that and just keeping diesel fuel because most of our equipment is diesel. So we bought the diesel pickup. thought it was a great idea and it kind of had some glitches. So we're working through it, but like I say, the vendors held up their end of the bargain, just taking longer than we'd like, but it's in service right now, so we're making it work. So yet to be determined. We do need to buy one more next year, but we want to make sure this one gets exercised before we make that decision.
Well, that's good that they honored that and.
Challenging.
Things went
It's a lot of
smooth, yeah.
waiting. But we
They
made
didn't
it.
give us a loaner. There was nothing they could do.
No, and with, I mean, we could have got a loaner, but loaners aren't really set for what we do.
Right.
And we probably don't want to put a loaner through the work that we put ours through. So it was probably better to not get one and just kind of use what we had. But thankfully we have enough we could have a spare.
Hmm.
So we made it work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? No? Way to pick up on that, Joanne.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's it from
All
staff.
set. All right. All right, so if there is no further business to come before this board, I want to make a note that our next meeting is February 7th. That's at 1 o'clock. There's no working session that day. Our virtual chat sessions that occur every Wednesday from noon to 1. On the 18th, which is tomorrow, is Commissioner Green, and on the 25th, it's Commissioner Yamas. Having no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I
Oh,
do have one question, I'm
Commissioner,
sorry.
yes.
And it's for Matt. Matt, can you, I was looking at the permits chart and I was trying to do math, but I think that it's meant not to be added up correctly.
Okay.
Or that I didn't, I think I'm reading it incorrectly. So could you help?
Are you on
me?
page 34?
It's, yes, I'm on page 34
Want my copy, Matt?
of the permits quarterly report. So these are strictly numbers and no additions, because I was thinking, well, right away permits, residential, that doesn't add up to 2003. And then it occurred to me, transportation permits issued are different than right of way.
That's correct. So transportation permits would be anything related to commercial vehicle use where we've got oversized, meaning width,
Mm.
height, or weight. So any of those that would fall into that category, or if they're moving a mobile home unit, or if they're moving equipment, equipment would fall under that over width as well. Over length is sometimes. So transportation permits, we do those through a system called Oxcart. So it's one of those internet sites that provides a service to road agencies, which is really nice for the carriers because it's kind of one-stop shop. You can get a permit for numerous road agencies at one spot. So transportation permits are different than right-of-way. Right-of-way is any physical activity that's taking place in a right-of-way, meaning a driveway, a utility construction, could be a road closure, could be just traffic control for an event. So those are the categories kind of we were talking about. So right-of-way permits issued as activity going on, physical activity or closures. And then transportation is commercial vehicles moving along our roadways.
Okay, so the right of ways issued, the 745 is the addition of the miscellaneous utility, commercial and
Correct.
residential.
Yes. And then applications, right-of-way applications is how many we receive for the calendar year.
Okay, and that's how many we actually did, minus the 20.
Correct. Yep, and then you'll see as far as the permit charges and fees collected is a little bump from last year. And if you recall, we adopted our procedures and regulation for permit activities and also approved a new fee schedule, which was a slight increase from our old fee schedule. So you can kind of see that taking place where we're collecting a little bit more.
Yeah, so that didn't make sense because it appeared to be more in 2021, but the dollar amount is more in
In 22,
2022.
yeah,
But
and
that
that's why.
answers that question. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
thank you very much.
You bet. You're welcome. Thanks for the use of the paper.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Aaron, for getting me the paper as always. Anybody else? Anything? No. Okay, I think we had a motion and a second, did we not? Okay. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. See you February 7th.